Welcome everybody. Welcome Jürgen for joining today. I'm really glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's directly dive into it with a little bit warm up. What attracted you the most at Management 3.0 from the very first beginning? So maybe I start. So for me, it was I didn't know much about Management 3.0. Um, I flew to Berlin to join the workshop. And the thing which really stood out as such a different way of management, and especially the thing that everybody can be a manager, and that the worker happiness part also was the really attractive thing and really new thing from the really traditional 1.0 management. And this just blew me away and totally, yeah, spoke to my heart. And that's why I came to Management 3.0. What was it for you?
For me, it was a very different way. I has been a have been a manager at a telecom company for about 10 years before I became an independent consultant. This was 2011, and just shortly after that, I wrote about Management 3.0, and I suddenly realized that this was kind of the management style that I developed out of despair in the context I was working with, because we were always reorganizing, and I, as a manager, was put on always different teams and departments on every reorganization. So I had to make a virtue out of my unknowledge of the topics,
Mm,
because I was responsible for a part of an organization where I don't have any clue, had any kind of clue about what the people are talking about. I was responsible for. So I I did a coaching education. I studied organizational and industrial psychology to get some kind of insight what could be a better way of managing and behaving as a manager. And at the end, I found with management through just that what I naturally developed, kind of course. There was no basic behind that. There was no tools and practice or whatever. This was developed by Management 3.0. And another reason was because in this time I was manager, we had the first agile transformation I was witnessing, and there the typical fatal error was done, as I was witnessing all kind of organizations I was working with within the last 14 years, which is that they don't care about their management. They just train the people off Scrum and whatever. Um, they just think that with a miracle, the manager problem goes away, but it doesn't go away. And if you leave managers on their own with the insight or even the claim, we don't need management anymore, then you have a problem. And I realized because this happened in this organization, at the end, we don't have any kind of transition or transformation. It just created one Scrum team in a whole organization. That was it. And
mm,
so I realized if you have if you want to have any kind of change and any kind of chance to have for change in an organization like that, you have to get the managers on board first, and then you have to try to change the organization. So management 3.0, manage the system, not the people. That was the claim I was missing, and that's really helpful, I guess. And I still think this is the most important thing to do.
I think so too, absolutely. Yeah, this manage the system, not the people. This is, I think, the core of it. And I mean, a few years passed now since Jürgen Peller's Management 3.0 Black Book. And even he says we need to update it, or it's a little bit not outdated, but there's a new thing coming. And Jürgen he just announced a few days ago that he will come back to Management 3.0. And I just read his recent blog, which is called about the three three or four waves of changes, right? And I think Management 3.0 is still super relevant. I'm still surprised so many people don't know it. And the mindset, I think, is still super important because, as you said, the management need to more managing the system, and this is still valid, like the same for agile. I think many people say agile is dead. Also, Jürgen Appello writes in the blog about it. Um, I think it's not really dead. It will transform into the kind of the mindset will prevail because this short iterations and experimental approach is very important. But what do you think about, have you read this recent article, and what do you think about Management 3.0 and Agile now? I mean, I think I really like this point about the experience part, that it shifts more from product development to experience, creating experiences, because it became much more easier now to develop software, right? So it's 20 years ago it was not so easy, and that's why they focus on the product development. But now the experience development is very important. I think that's I totally agree with it. And yeah, and we need a renewal of a little bit new input for Management 3.0. I think people always want new stuff, so that's why I saw a little bit a slowdown in the movement, at least here in Japan. I think also Germany. Um, but I'm really looking forward to when Jürgen joins, and there will be no new input. So what is your thought on where are we going now? Where are we now? Which management 3.0 and change management?
You know, I see there's a general problem we have with management and management methods because we always strive and look for the method that helps us solve all our problems. So
Mm,
that's why we jump
right.
from
Silver
bad to
bullets.
bad and whatever. So now it's agile, and in the past it was lean, and there was theory of constraints and whatever. We had all this kind of management methods, and I'm really, really liking this. That's why I always try not to focus on the fads and names and whatever. I try to focus on the principles behind that.
Mm,
So the main thing I would like to help organizations with is to understand that they have to continuously improve. That's a basic fact. So the basic thing for organizations and managers and the task of a manager and top management is to help an organization they are responsible for to survive and even improve on the market that's
mm,
volatile and whatever. We know that. So in order to do that, they have to understand what are the conditions they are in. They have to understand complexity, but also complicatedness. They have to understand how to make the right moves, right decisions in an organization in order to make an organizational, and can you call it agile or resilient or whatever, just fit for the future. That's what an organization manager is responsible for. So in order to do that, he has to have time, or they have to, or she, or they have to have time. The management team has to have time to reflect on their problems, possible solutions. They have to understand they shouldn't jump to quick solutions. They have to really understand which kind of environment they in. And this is basically the tool that management needs. And how you call it, it doesn't matter actually. So management
mhm,
theory is a nice claim in a brand, and of course people need brands and terms to understand what we're talking about. That's language, and that's of course. But at the end, how you name it, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if you know Stefan Kühl. He's a professor in Germany, and I met him last year on a conference where he had his his speech at the very beginning on the conference, and he in this conference was called Manage Agile, and he just told the audience, I have to deliver a bad message. I think in 5 years we don't talk about Agile anymore.
mhm,
It just will have another name and whatever. So just consider to rename your conference. That's what
mhm,
was on the very beginning. And he explained how in the last 50 years of management, we always had different names for the same kind of principles we have. We had some kind of waves going back and forth. And this sounds, of course, a little bit disappointing for us because we are the agile people. We do the right things, and all the others are doing the wrong things. So this, of course, is a little bit disappointing. But nevertheless, I think Management 3.0, how you name it, and I'm looking forward to what the guys of Unfix and Management 3.0 will come up with as a brand name, whatever. Um, I think we need to talk about the principles, and the principle should be we need to address which kind of environment we are in. We have to continuously improve the organizations by, and that's my main tool is they have to systemic loop. You have to consider where you're in, what your problems are. You have to create hypotheses, how to solve this kind of problems, what kind of interventions are you want to doing. You have to integrate and to implement this kind of interventions and have to prove if they help or not. And this is a thing you can call agile, inspect and adapt, PDCA cycle, whatever. And the PDCA cycle, we all know it's it's there quite a long time and very famous
Exactly,
in
exactly.
Japan.
Yeah.
So, and just do that.
Yeah.
And the problem that we have is that we are so busy implementing management methods that we don't have time to really tackle the real problems. So, and that's why I think, back to your question, I think Management
Yeah.
3.0 is still relevant because the idea behind that are relevant. But, we have all these kind of names and things, if it's flight level or safe or you name it. Yeah. All behind that, we have some principles who are all over the place and implemented in various methods and fads. And you have to find out what method, no, not what method. Method it's more for the complicated space,
Mm.
but what tool, what thinking, what understanding might help you in your context to improve your organization and make your people happier and your organization thrive. And where you take it, it's doesn't matter. But the problem is we are so busy that we don't have time to really reflect. So I think the main tool that
Mm.
management has to take in is to create time for reflection as a management team. So that's why for me the most important thing took out of Management 3.0 was the gardener metaphor,
Mm. Yeah,
and
that's a very
I
good one.
extended. So you as a manager are responsible for growth, and you have to define the purpose of your garden, and you have to create structures and you have to pay attention what's going on. You have to make experiments in order to which plant to put where. You have to take care about the crops that the weeds and all the other things that are hindering the growth of your organization, whatever.
Yeah, but
And
if I can a little bit jump in there, but what happens if this garden becomes more and more mechanical? I mean, it's the garden you're talking about is nature by plants, and I agree this is an organization, but now with AI, it becomes a mechanical garden, right? More and more. Does this still apply? How do you manage your AI? Your AI
right,
change managers who might come into place in a couple of years, who never sleep, who don't need a pay raise, and yeah, that will be interesting.
one thing that will help you in this respect, and that's I would like to extend the gardener metaphor to make a
Mm,
garden team as a metaphor. You have to have a manager team that thinks about this kind of future things that will happen. Do we have to have a lawnmower? What kind of tools we want to use in this kind of environment to make our organizations thrive? Yeah. So they as a team have to think about how can we help to create growth? What will be created? What kind of automation degree do we want to implement? Where does it help? Yeah, you can just buy a bunch of lawnmowers and just put them in the
mm,
garden automatically, and they just destroy everything. It's good
mm,
for the grass, but not for the tulips or whatever. So you have to be aware where to use those tools and where not. And this is where reflect back to the Gartner team, so the management
Mm.
team. They have to think about it. They have to not just throw AI just all over the organization.
Mm.
Just use it, do it, whatever. This is not helpful. They have to develop their own, let's say, AI strategy in order to, yeah, and they
Mm.
have to get upfront of the development. They have to really understand what's going on, and they
Do
have
you
to really
already
understand
see it?
where AI is helping them and where it's damaging also productivity in organizations.
Mm. Do you already see AI in the change management world? I don't have really seen it, but I guess, I mean, there's already like life coaches, AI life coaches, and all kind of companion apps who have AI, and I guess it doesn't take long until you have change management AIs for the basic things, maybe who gives you guidance or you can talk to and help you in the process, and maybe we will even have a management 3.0 AI app in the future, who knows? But up to
No, it's
now, I don't see anything yet. What about you?
that's of course AI will change the world, and I think in a year's time we will have many changes and also problems in society and whatever. I think it's already starting, and people I think are not aware of that.
Mm.
So just talking in the management world or in the we as consultants, of course, we face a lot of problems. We'll also face them. So it would be not a problem at all for me just um, to set up a avatar of myself and just to teach management at zero in e-learnings, to
Mm.
teach tools to to display and to hand over the knowledge that I have to people. So
Mm.
AI is good to for the knowledge area, just to deliver knowledge, whatever. You can do it different voices, different avatars, whatever. It's very easy. And I just remember where one of our colleagues, Ralph, just posted in Slack what he has done with another AI tool, where he just uploaded all the material that he had from Management 3.0. He was allowed to share, and the AI created a podcast where
Ah,
two
yeah,
people.
the new Google Note LM, or how's it called? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also used this a couple of times. It's amazing.
So, um, and of course, there will be a lot of things, and I think there will be an oversupply of things supported
Yeah.
with, and we actually we have to separate the message from the noise at the end. We have to find out where it's really high quality and where it's really helping. So it will bring us back as a management team still to find out what the right things are. So I think the danger is we hand over too much responsibility to AI in management because we don't have time. We just ask ChatGPT, what should we do? Here are the options, and then ChatGPT would propose something to us. And at the end, we would integrate all AIs in all our decision management because it's faster. Yeah.
Mm.
I wonder what will happen when we have the next stock crisis, because there are so many AIs already implemented that if the first crash signs will be created, everybody is trying to run to the exit, and AIs supported with AIs, and then we will have a complete crash. So, and this can also happen in organizations if you just hand over too much responsibility to an AI. And this is a lot of things to think about, a lot of time to think about
Mm.
management. And what I see is that the basic problem in management and organizations is no time for reflection.
Mm.
We need to prepare for that. That's what I said. We need to understand where AI is helpful, where can it be helpful, what problems should AI solve for us. We always implement things and don't think about this is a solution, but for what problem? Yeah, just implement a solution and there's no
Mm.
problem for it. Oh, so think about that. Then we have to realistically think about the potentials, but also the dangers of AI.
Mm.
Where does it distract people from working? Where is it really improving? Where is it really helping? Where's the danger? There are some studies out there. Just had a listened to a talk of a guy from a Boston consulting group, and they had a study where they showed that in some areas, and they just used I think 750 Boston consultant group consultants for an
Mhm.
experiment. They found out that in certain areas AI is very helpful, but in certain areas it's actually reducing performance. So you have to be
Okay.
aware of that. What are the areas you want to use AI, and where are the areas not? So any kind of where you have decision making, any kind of where it's about creativity, any time where it's about creating a decision in an organization, AI may support, but the decision process has to be done in the organization.
Yeah, not too much water is always helpful, right?
Yeah,
To come back to the
this
garden.
is
Yeah, if you put just more AI or more of this or more of
yeah,
tools,
more is not always
more
helpful.
is better. Yeah, less
So,
is more.
but managers and back to the main problem that I see in organizations, they don't have time, they're
Mm.
overutilized, and that's why they tend to jump to quick conclusions and solutions. And that's why we always use frameworks, and that's why we always use this kind of management fads and whatever, because it's easy to implement because it's somebody else has already done it and is
Mm.
famous for it, like Spotify, whatever,
Ah,
and
yes,
that they
45 is
want to.
another topic.
And now, of course, everybody has to do something with AI, but I don't see very much reflection on that. So, what kind of
Uh-huh.
strategy is it for? So, what is our strategy in general? That's the main problem. Yeah, a lot of organizations struggle with that. So, in this kind of fast-changing world and political unrest, whatever, what is our strategy in order to be successful? What is our strategy regarding AI?
Mm.
So, the management team, how do we think about that? What kind of experience do we have? The guy from Boston Consulting Group said that any manager has to have an intense AI training in order to really understand that. So, and I think this should be also done in organizations. But, when I come to an organization and we want to have a date for a management training or whatever, you know what will happen, how long it takes to find a 1 day or half a day or even 2 days where the whole management team has got time to sit together to talk about those important things.
Yeah.
And so think about that. So you have to develop a strategy in the organization. You have to enable also your staff to use it, but you have to also define kind of constraints.
Mm.
What kind of constraints do you want to have this kind of usage? Well, how do we learn together? How do we share the knowledge and experiences with it? Um, how to use AI as a team member. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think um, and where is it useful? How to help my staff in order to embrace that, in order to reduce the fear and whatever.
Yeah, so totally agree with that. So to boil it down to one thing, time. So that managers need to invest more time to tackle all these challenges which we have, which are not only AI but also uh, yeah, how to create companies to make more a positive impact, not only focusing on money, not only focusing on the stakeholders, but focusing on all the other stakeholders too, like customers, employees, and that's yeah. Therefore, you need time, and I think also change a little bit the way organizations operate and are managed by the leaders. Yeah. Wow. We're already over time. So all right, then let's finish here for today. Was a super great pleasure to have you here. Super interesting. I would love to do it again. And yeah, hope to see you in Germany next year or New Year.
Or end the year.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for joining.
Yep. And anybody, I think that my contact details are in the link somewhere in this event.
Exactly.
Anybody has some kind of questions, want to contact me.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And put your questions also in the comments and contact us for anything you want.
I think we will have a very interesting time the next month, I guess.
Yes,
Again,
absolutely. There are exciting times comes up. I will put the blog from Jürgen Appello, 3 or 4 waves of changes, into the comments. It's super interesting where he and talks about embracing digital revolution, switching from product to experience development, make a positive impact, and the very interesting thing where actually to look it up, put scientism over humanism. So basically, it also AIs who develop scientism to also welcome them and not being afraid and think they become Terminators or a Matrix, because kind of self-fulfilling prophecy could happen that if you treat them like enemies, they become enemies. But if you treat them like friends, they become friends. That was something Jürgen Appello shared also in our Slack, which I found very interesting. All right, great. And thank you, Jürgen. Thank everybody for joining.
welcome.
And yeah, please join us next time. All
Yeah.
right.
Bye.
Bye bye.